Recording in progress.
Did you know? Did you? We hope so.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will call the Rules and Appointments Committee to order for Tuesday, November the 18th, 2025. Ms. Carrillo, if you'll call the roll, please.
Little, Teratio,
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And just for the record, Ms. Little did notify me that she would not be in attendance today. However, we are so happy to have someone else in attendance, Mr. Don Weaver, joining us today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Our next order of business is the approval of the minutes from November the 4th. You can find those items on pages 6 through 8. Are there any revisions to the minutes? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
To approve, Madam Chair.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Carrillo.
Teratio,
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item is the adoption of the agenda. Ms. Carrillo, do we have any changes to our agenda?
Madam Chair, yes, we do have a recommendation of withdrawal for applicant number 4A1. Benita Dyer requested to withdraw her application.
And is she, just for the record, she's withdrawing altogether? Or are we keeping it on file? What are we doing with it?
She's requesting to withdraw completely.
Okay, very well. Any other revisions or modifications?
Not at this time.
All right, Mr. Jensen, I see you sitting there. Just want to address you.
Thank you, ma'am. None from administration.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda with the changes of withdrawing for A1.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Carrillo.
Teratio,
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item, we will take up in two parts. The first part will be for the interviews, and we will conduct interviews for the following, and that will be for the Lexington Richland Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council, as well as for the Music Festival Commission. And we have several interviews slated for that time, and then we'll come back, which we'll take the interviews in executive session, and then we'll come back and make the appointments for the second part of item number 4. So I'll entertain a motion to go in executive session to conduct interviews.
So moved.
Second, any further discussion? Ms. Carrillo?
Teratio,
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. interviews for the first part of four, item number 4. We conducted interviews for LRADAC as well as for the Music Festival Commission. At this time, we will take up the second part of item 4, which is the appointments for those same boards or commissions. I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
You're recognized.
move to appoint 4A3, Mr. Greg Pierce, to Lexington Richland Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council.
I'll second it for discussion. And so with that discussion, I would want to say that, and I think that we've said this on several occasions, that we've gotten to the place where we are starting to get highly qualified applicants. And so when we get these highly qualified applicants, it does make it extremely difficult to make decisions on the applicants, because honestly, we could easily put either one of these professionals in this place and feel like that they would represent Richland County well. I also would like to say, to note that Mr. Greg Pierce did serve on Richland County Council at one point for with 5 terms. However, when taken into consideration, not his term limit or his terms that he served on county council, but the majority of our interview was spent on his professional career. And his professional career is that of working in the mental health space, both on the state and local level, and providing the expertise that perhaps it could be transformational as the organization continues to move forward with a new leader. And so with that, I felt the need to say that because many people, I want to dispel any myths that could possibly come up, because every one of those applicants were highly qualified to be appointed as well. And for the record, I would like to say any one of those individuals that did apply, please keep your name on file, because you definitely are highly qualified to stand and to represent us on council. Any further discussion?
I just want to echo all of that, Ms. Barron. Thank you so much for stating that so eloquently.
If there is no further discussion, Ms. Carrillo?
Teratio?
Yes?
Cooper?
Yes.
Motion approved.
We'll take up item 4B at this time, appointment for the music festival.
Madam Chair,
You're recognized.
move to appoint Dr. Ted Hart.
Second, any discussion? I will say for the record, we had reached out to the other applicant who had committed to being present. However, we did not hear back from him today, nor did he appear. Thus, we are moving forward with this appointment today. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Carrillo.
Teratio?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is an item for discussion/action, and that's 5A, the creation of a board of architectural review. You can find those documents starting on page 9 through page 19. And I will recognize ACA Jensen, and then if there are any additional staff members that need to speak to this item, definitely please bring them forth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that. Yes, I have with me today Director Sunithia Williams, and she is prepared to speak on this matter and is the subject matter expert.
Thank you. You recognize Director Williams. And if you could just kind of give us a high-level overview as to how we got here and what's being presented before this body today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to let you all know that back on June 2nd, 2025, the Planning Commission recommended the Neighborhood Character Overlay District for the Olympia Historic Neighborhood, which was also forwarded to the Development and Services Committee for approval, which subsequently has been approved by County Council. As part of the Planning Commission's recommendation, it included a request for County Council to provide guidelines for the establishment of a Board of Architectural Review to ensure consistency in implementation of the overlay district. Richland County is allowed to create this type of Board of Architectural Review through the South Carolina Planning Act. And one of the benefits and the reason why Planning Commission included this recommendation is that by having a Board of Architectural Review, staff can make judgments on the ordinance, but if someone was to appeal the zoning administrator's decision, instead of it going to Planning Commission or the Board of Zoning Appeals, it would go to this board specifically for a historic overlay type district. And so what you have in front of you is recommended rules and procedure for the board, and also a draft ordinance establishing the Board of Architectural Review. County Council does not have to approve the rules of procedure. The board would actually approve that, but we wanted to be able to show you what those rules of procedure would be for the board. We would just need that establishment from County Council, and also you would also appoint the members. So they're not a legislative body. Words got tumbled up in my brain. So they're not a legislative body, but they would hear any appeals to the zoning administrator's decision. And if someone were to appeal the Board of Architectural Review's decision, it goes to the courts, just like it would with the Board of Zoning Appeals. So those appeals would not come to County Council. But I did want to let you know that the ordinance and the recommendations in the ordinance have also been reviewed by legal. We got some feedback from legal, and we made sure that we updated the ordinance and what you have in your packet based off of the recommendations from the county attorney's office as well.
Thank you, Director Williams. And just before I open it up for some discussion, I think it's worthy to note that this is coming before this body as a recommendation, because we have to, a recommendation to create a new committee. So by this being rules and appointment, the recommendation is coming to staff for us to formalize, which by ordinance has to take place, this committee, and then this committee will be treated as the other committees that we have, noting that any type of, several years ago, we spent a lot of time doing overviews that will be listed on our website for appointments, the criteria of some of which you've already started and put in place. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, noting that, this is coming as a result of an ordinance that's already been passed, and now it needs to, in order for this ordinance to be fully executed, it has to have a body for that body to go, no different from, the Board of Zoning and Appeals. Those is very similar to that. So I'll stop right there, and then I know Miss Teresa had some concerns that she wanted to lift, so I'll stop and recognize you at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And one of the things that I'm so glad this is before us, and thank you for giving us this this starting point. One of the things I'm most interested in is the makeup of this body. And so, how many people and what requirements, what requirements do you need to meet in order to serve on such a committee? So I think it is page
18, the membership.
18, yes, the membership page. So the current draft, I guess, says the board shall consist of 5 members appointed by the county council. At least 1 member must come from each of the following industries: architecture, building, real estate, and 2 members may be at large. So my thinking is, this neighborhood character overlay for Olympia really mirrors the one that the Olympia neighbors who reside in the city of Columbia have the protections of. So, you know, it's like we all live in the same neighborhood, but you live in the city and I don't. So I'm looking for just some, continuity, I guess, in the way that this is administered to the neighbors. And so I had a look at, well, how does the city go through this? And one of the things that I noticed was that there's a heavy emphasis on the membership of that body around having people with historic preservation experience. And so that is something that I would like to see us consider in terms of the membership of this body, to either maybe substitute someone out or add in the requirement. And then while I just have the floor, I'll also just ask, what are we thinking in terms of at-large members? Are we going to be looking for people from the neighborhood? Are we going to look for someone, from another neighborhood with a neighborhood character overlay? Just, kind of opening up to what are your thoughts on that? Okay, and then I think that's it for me now.
Yes, ma'am. So one of the reasons we had the 5 members is because we know it is challenging to find people to volunteer and they cannot serve on another board. So we could have gone up to 10, but we chose to try not to go too high. So we want to make it, reduce some of the challenges of finding people to be on it. We, the membership, we mirrored it after some other similar ordinances. We discussed going back and forth with historical, but we also thought about the fact that this Board of Architectural Review would be involved with any other overlay, and so that was one of the thoughts originally, but we are open and happy to include that requirement for, to include somebody who has historical preservation experience. Again, we tried to keep it at 2, so if you are okay with the recommendation, we can make it 1 at-large member and add the historic, or we can go back and staff can discuss it a little bit more. But we didn't want to go higher than 5 just because we want to try not to make it more challenging for you all to find people on that.
And one of the things I was thinking about was quorum as well, if I can respond to that, Madam Chair. Thank you. So definitely sensitive to the fact of getting people together for this, but also did not necessarily want the opportunity to have a quorum with just business people that would be interested in, we may have some competing ideas on this commission, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because we need to think through everything, but I also don't want it to be so heavily weighted or possibly heavily weighted towards one side.
Understood. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And so before I recognize Mr. Weaver, I would say that definitely I understand your point about making sure that we have a fair representation on this committee. However, I'm okay with 5, but I do think we want to be really specific about those 5 individuals who are being appointed. So very similar to some of the other boards that we have, they let us know, okay, one person has to be, in the restaurant industry. Someone has to be, hospitality. You see where I'm going?
Yes,
So I think being very specific there will avoid having a committee full of realtors, for instance, because I think that would defeat the purpose of the overlay. So I share that sentiment with you. Mr. Weaver, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had 2 quick questions. I know we're talking today more about the makeup of the board, but I just had 2 quick questions about the overall county obligation here. What happens if the property is in a municipality? Does it still apply, or is it just this in?
This is just for the unincorporated area.
Unincorporated areas, okay.
County, correct.
All right, and then what if you have, like my company does, HOAs that have their own set of covenants? Would they still have to apply for this historical district?
That's correct. So this one, because it's just on Olympia, if Olympia's homeowners association had their own covenants, we don't enforce those. But if someone were to do a renovation, they would still have to come into compliance with this, because we don't necessarily look at the covenants and requirements of a homeowners association. We let the homeowners association handle that.
Okay.
But they would have to still comply with the county's overlay standards.
So I wonder what would happen if there was a conflict between the HOA covenants and the county ordinance. I wonder who would, that might be a question for our county attorney.
Mr. Wright, you're recognized.
Right. Well, the county ordinance is a law. So the law trumps HOA covenant.
Wow, okay. So, okay, that's interesting. Okay. Thank you,
But-
Madam Chair.
And thank you.
You're recognized, Mr. Racio.
Thank you. And to my knowledge, I don't think we have any HOAs in this neighborhood.
Not that I'm aware of, not that they couldn't establish one or have another type of committee that may
Right.
have covenants.
So we're not entering into something where we're kind of over, where something exists that would come into conflict. That it may be the case down the road, but again, those neighborhood character overlays would be addressing those specific neighborhoods. I mean, that's the whole purpose of them. So I think and that's kind of like the spirit of these ordinances is that they are specific to the neighborhoods, that they are taking into consideration, what the people there want to maintain. So I think we can deal with those as they come. I also wanted to just speak to maybe one of the things I was thinking about, because this commission will address whatever overlays come down the pike. And so thinking about what may come down the pike from some of my colleagues, I could see that there also would be an interest in more like conservation, right? And so as we're thinking through who is on this commission, if we're talking about preservation experience, maybe there could be something about including conservation in one of the members, because as we look at potentially, the Lake Murray area, that would be something that I'm sure they would be thinking about. And maybe if there was a Lower Richland something, that might be more of what's on their mind. So just thinking holistically about the purpose of this commission, and who would best serve it.
So for clarification, of the ones that are specifically listed in architecture, building, real estate, and then the two at-large, is the thought that maybe one of the at-large become historic and/or conservation, or removing one of the others to add historic and conservation, just so I can make sure I'm
Or, I mean, and would it be, I guess I would even look at the architecture person, like maybe it's the requirement that the architecture person is not just any architecture person, but that they have historic preservation experience. And then maybe one of the at-larges could have some requirement around conservation experience or awareness. And I'm just thinking this, I'm sort of just thinking this through out loud, because so for instance, our Conservation Commission, that's not just conservation of natural resources, it's historic conservation as well. So we are kind of already have a model, we already have a line of thinking along those ways. And so that's just where my head is going there.
And again, I'm not an architect, so I don't know if it would be, I don't know how easy or difficult it would be to find an
Sure.
architect with historic preservation experience. Because one of the things we thought with architecture is because it is a architectural characteristics that come with those historic overlays or any future overlays that may not be historic. There may be overlays that preserve a different type of character that may not be historic. That's the reason why we just architect who's either acting or retired, because we're operating on the assumption that as an architect that you would be able to understand those different architectural styles and give that comment. But I do think the historic preservation experience and someone who has that experience is a good replacement for one of the at-large as well. But again, we can add the historic preservation experience with architect, but I just think it might be, again, I'm not architect, but I'm assuming it might be a little bit more challenging if we narrow that down a little
Right.
bit.
And it could even just be that when we, sorry, Madam Chair, that when we are writing up the description of the commission, we could say,
preferred.
preferred experience in these kinds of areas. This is a bonus if you're looking to apply or something like that. I don't know exactly how we word those things, but certainly we can make it known that while we have these very specific requirements for the memberships, that what the committee is going to be looking for, meaning the Rules and Appointments Committee will be looking for, are people that have these kinds of interest, experience, backgrounds, that kind of thing.
I think we can work that wording in to kind of help you all and work through that. If somebody wants to be appointed, that we point out that that's preferred, but
Okay.
try not to make someone who may be interested also.
Right, and
turn
then
away.
noticing that the term limits of these things, so that as neighborhood character overlays come before us, we can, we know that we will have some turnover, and we can, maybe tailor the appointees for that moment in time.
Well, and I want to insert right here, I think that there's a couple of things that we need to keep in mind. This is the first ideation of this board, and what we want is to allow us to formalize or to be able to form this board, and then this board and along with staff can start to move forward and work and to see what it is that they do or don't need. Because again, we've had this happen many times where the boards and commissions have come back to us and they said, you know what, we don't need 3 of these, but we only need 1 of these. We don't need 12 people, we need 6 people. I think that today's conversation gives the green light to staff to move forward so that we can take this item forward to council, and then council can provide their input as well. But noting that while we're talking about it, it may be more helpful when we talk about preservation and conservation, because it looks different depending on what district you're in. So it may be, I like what you said, Director Williams, and to maybe take one of those at-large seats and just, I feel like I can think of 3 people that could qualify for that position, right? But if we've added to someone who's an architect, we may not get anyone, even if we say preferred, with that experience, people will read that preferred and then automatically count themselves out. So I think if we add that, just add it as an at-large, it would be helpful because we're addressing 2 things. We'll be able to address 2 things right there. And then, keeping in mind, we can still keep that preferred language there. And then if we get one from an architect and we have that at-large seat that now will be for conservation, we're double stacked. Because I think that's going to be critically important. But what I want is to make sure that we don't put you all in a box so much so that you cannot move forward with even creating what it is that you think you need at this point.
That is a fair point, because we did think about a lot of the stuff with what the county could potentially do in the future and what this board could look at if the county even in the future got to designating properties as historic. This board could do that, but since we're not there yet, we didn't want to write too much into this for what could or could not potentially come in the future. We wanted to make sure we had us covered for this overlay and any other similar overlays that may come, but we would bring recommendations in the future. I'm pretty sure as we go through implementation of this Olympia overlay, we'll be bringing recommendations back to you all to improve the program as we start getting applications and work with different citizens on the project.
Great, thank you so much. Any further feedback that we need to share with staff? You recognize Mr. Wright?
There is one recommended adjustment to the draft ordinance that is to be added, and I'll give you a copy.
So, while Mr. Wright is making sure we all have the noted, change or recommendation, something we need to add, looks like it's in section A2. And we're adding major renovations of the exterior appearance of a building.
Yes, and the reason that's added is that the statute, that's in the statute as to what the board can do. So you just want to make sure that the ordinance is clear, so that, you know, instead of just saying major renovations, it's clear that it's major renovations of the exterior appearance of the building, because that's what the statute allows.
And this is per state statute.
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on that, revision?
No, Madam Chair, I appreciate the clarification because this ordinance was never really about the interior anyway, so I appreciate that.
And so with that, the next steps, Director Williams, is that you're gonna need a motion from this body in order for us to move it to full council.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
And so, and before we make that motion, I would just ask that if staff, to include, Director Williams, your team, and the attorney's office, if you all can make sure that everything that we need to have, in our briefing document is included. And, you know, that way, what I don't want is this item to get to full council and then we have some changes or that we've not done all that we need to do, because I'll be frank, when it comes out of this committee, I want it to be real crystal clear what it is that we voted on and what your needs are. And so that when it's presented to full council, there's no guesswork, okay? And I hope y'all are tracking, as they say, you catching what I'm throwing down. So, okay, so if we can just make sure that we have those things solidified, because this will be something, Ms. Carrillo, that will be going to full council next week. Well,
It would be December the 2nd. I know, yes.
well, after Thanksgiving, so it's our next council meeting, so we've got a little bit of time, but we do have the holiday in there, so
Thursday this week, actually.
Thursday this week, we'll need those updated briefing documents to the clerk's office. Mr. Wright, did you have anything else?
No, I know that she mentioned about the procedures that's, it's not in the ordinance, but it is attached. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that this committee and the public understands that there have been cases regarding it. So one thing that's required is procedural due process and the application of clear and consistent guidelines. So that is presented to ensure that there are clear and consistent guidelines and procedural due process with this review committee, Board of Architectural Review.
And so question for you, Mr. Wright, that will be coupled with the ordinance and with the formation of this committee. However, it still will allow, once the committee is formed, to make changes as they see fit to those guidelines and procedures that are attached to the ordinance.
Right. Once the board or review committee is formed, they will have to vote on it themselves.
Okay, very good. Now, when they vote on those items, will we have to do another vote? Does that change the ordinance at all?
No, it doesn't change the ordinance. That's just basically their internal operating
Supplemental
procedures.
documents?
Yes.
Okay, very well, because I didn't want us to we're gonna have to revisit this because they are now formed and create some other things. Okay, all right. Mr. Jensen, you recognize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarification, are we staying with the three appointees, the three categories of appointees as put in the ordinance? Or are we modifying one of the at-large for something different? And if we are, would you specifically elucidate what that is?
Well, I know that I'd like to see one of the at-large seats go to preservation and conservation, but definitely, Ms. Teresa, are you open? Are you okay with that?
Yes. So, and I know you're looking for something very specific, ACA Jensen. So, and do you need a motion for that?
I would suggest that it be in the motion, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do we want to do this motion all together for the modification to the exterior as well as the change of membership?
Yes.
Okay. I can attempt a motion.
Just need to add the categories.
Okay.
You got it.
So move to add in the category of membership, in lieu of one of the at-large members, that member would become someone with experience and expertise in historic preservation and conservation. And additionally to, in the language of subsection A2 of the draft, to replace major renovations with major renovations of the exterior appearance of a building. Did I capture both of those things?
Second.
Great.
And so for discussion, Mr. Wright?
Yes. So that's fine for the changes. Is this motion is to
be the committee recommendation to full council, because it will not come before this committee
Right.
again. Yes, so I will amend my motion to say that this would be the recommendation for full council,
right for the establishment of the board,
or the establishment of the Board
Board of Architectural Review?
of Architectural Review. Thank you.
Y'all have the little train that could. You did it.
Listen, sometimes
I felt like we was mixing music for a minute.
yeah.
So I'll accept your amendment there, because that was gonna be my question. Were we gonna need a separate motion because we were addressing revisions, but we didn't address actually executing the ordinance that includes in creating the board? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Carrillo?
Teresa?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. Thank you, Director Williams and ACA Jensen, for your work on this item. I will say before we move forward to the next thing, I think that as we talked about in DNS, and Ms. Teresa and I are on that committee, this is going to be a template for other areas in our county. So if we get it right on the first time, then we can just insert and press play. So thank y'all so much. Next item on our agenda are items for information, and that you have your schedule there for the boards, commissions, advertisement. I will say that we do have an active advertisement going on right now, and those applications are due on today. Are they due today, right? Nope, I got it wrong. December, they were published today. So the applications, if you're interested in vacancies that we have, you have up until December the 19th to apply. You can do so by applying online. You can see the vacancies online, as well as how we just had a conversation about overviews. The overviews for all those boards are there. And then just noting that you're going to get wrapped up in the holiday season, so we won't conduct interviews until after the first of the year. So anyone who's interested in applying for those boards and commissions, please do so and join the great elite people who serve Richland County. Our next item, excuse me, as a part of that section are the applications that are currently on file. You can find those on pages 21 and 22. Thank you to the clerk's office for keeping everything straight and in line and up to date. And with that, our last item on our agenda is adjournment.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second, Ms. Carrillo?
Teratio,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
motion approved.
Thank you. We're